Kenny McCaskill.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Our benefit system in the United Kingdom has gone through many changes and iterations since it was first devised by the Beveridge Plan back during World War II. A plan devised when it was felt essential, if there was to be a people's war against fascism, that there would be a fairer future if you expect people to make the sacrifices that were necessary. That's something that perhaps should be borne in mind given the challenges we face with coronavirus at the present moment, that even Winston Churchill was prepared to accept that logic. But it came in with obviously supplementary benefit, the National Insurance Contributory Scheme. It was assumed that supplementary benefit would be a catch-all, simply catching a few folk who would fall through the gaps in the system, because there would be employment, and those who fell from employment would have paid in, would be able to take out before they returned to employment. But despite the fact that there have been significant legislative changes, and to acknowledge there's also been changes to our society and our economy, the fact of the matter is it is not working. There are those who are receiving universal credit who are unemployed, but as many speakers have said, we're approaching almost half, certainly 40% of the universal credit claimants are in work. They are the working poor. I accept the logic of what many on the opposite benches have said, that the route out of poverty is normally through employment. It's something I've always believed in, that was the best way of increasing wages, was to create full employment, and that would be the solution. But it's certainly not working at the present moment, and that is the challenge, and that is why that has proven to be a mirage. I am a child of the 60s that grew up in West Lothian. I now represent East Lothian. There's not just a similarity in name, there's a similarity in heritage, because there was a coal mining heritage. I lived in a prosperous part, but all around there was poverty as the economy and society sought to transform. But let me be quite clear, I never saw the poverty that I see today back then. None of it existed. Were there kids who got free school meals? Of course there were. But there weren't the hungers and the queues at food banks in the 1960s. Were there people who huddled next to a two-bar electric fire in winter trying to keep warm? Yes. But not people who have to make a choice between being able to feed their children or feed themselves or heat their home this winter. And indeed, yes, there were kids who went to school with holes in their jerseys, or indeed in Scotland, as we said, their gutties. You might describe them as black sand shoes, even in winter. But we didn't have to have the clothes banks. We didn't have kids unable to go to school because they don't have the clothes to put upon their back. That is the society we now have. I saw a satirical website just last week in which there was a spoof that declared the Secretary of State had declared the majority of Paralympians fit for work. It was caustic but witty. That may be something, though, that might be reviewed, and some of them might find that they'll be facing more than a doping test in years to come. That may have been fiction, but the fact has been put out on the screen. As Ken Loach stated, our benefit system is institutionalised cruelty. It's been disclosed on the screen. It indeed won a Palme d'Or, the movie I, Daniel Blake, that showed the hardship and cruelty that is inflicted by a system that we possess. That was 2016. Indeed, the film was scripted long before, in the years before. We're now in 2021. Our society has never been richer. Some have never had more wealth. Inequality has never increased to the pace that it is today. And yet the level of destitution and despair that exists in parts is outstanding and shameful. It is something that we have to oppose. It's on that basis that I have no hesitation in supporting this motion. This uplift needs preserved because poverty is being imposed not by some misfortune, but by a political choice, and that is unacceptable.